In a seaside village on the outskirts of an Italian city, where the only law seems to be survival of the fittest, Marcello is a gentle and mild-mannered man who divides his days between working at his modest dog grooming salon, caring for his daughter, and sometimes willingly, sometimes unwillingly involving himself in a dangerous relationship of subjugation with the local bully, Simone Chino, an ex-boxer who is a cocaine and gambling addict and who terrorizes the neighborhood. Forced to take part in his petty criminal schemes, Marcello will eventually be brought to a breaking point, and he'll finally decide to stand up for his dignity no matter the cost. This is a movie I will always bring up when talking about perfect casting. You see, the actor playing Marcello was so perfect for his role that they actually even kept his name. He actually is named Marcello in real life as well. They actually relied very heavily on his instincts while shooting, so much so that the director has even said that this character wasn't exactly invented, it sort of came about as they were following his instincts just as much as they were following the screenplay. And it's how such great and such genuine moments as this one, while he is eating macaroni from the same bowl as his dog, came to be. This guy is a dog groomer because he perfectly knows how to communicate with dogs. He kind of has a sense for it, really, and it's mostly thanks to his personality. This is a guy who is very calm and quiet, very patient and empathetic, very sort of warm and mannered, and even quite childish, and he really knows how to behave around the dogs. He really knows how to calm them, he really knows how to handle them and to domesticate them, and he also seems to be genuinely to be a great father as well. He really loves his daughter, he really wants what's best for her, he spends a lot of time with her, he listens to her, he pays attention to her. You could almost say that the life of this guy is pretty alright, but then we get to discover the contradictory aspect about this character, and contradictions are actually a key element of this film. You see, he does these petty crimes like selling cocaine on his own, which let's say to a certain point is quite understandable. Especially considering the dump where he lives. Let's face it, this area really doesn't look like it's in an incredibly flourishing situation, to say the least. But don't worry, because it only gets a lot worse when Simone Chino comes along, who is basically the only dog Marcello cannot domesticate no matter how hard he tries. This guy is basically this ultimate bully, who basically just abuses Marcello and abuses everybody in this neighborhood. This guy is complete fucking bonkers. He is completely mad, and all he knows is violence. And basically he forces Marcello to take part in his petty crimes, like to be his getaway driver when he is robbing houses and shit like that. So what you get is basically this ambiguous relationship in which Marcello is kind of being actually quite friendly towards Simone Chino, most probably out of some sort of fascination, because Simone Chino does seem to have much more in common with dogs rather than with human beings, something Marcello knows all too much about, but also obviously out of fear because he's constantly being threatened by Simone Chino. And let me tell you, these two characters are some of my favorite characters in a movie, definitely from 2018. Not just Marcello, who deservedly won the Best Actor award at the Cannes Film Festival, but also the guy playing Simone Chino. This dynamic between the two of them is so well executed, both from a writing standpoint as well as an acting standpoint, that it feels so incredibly genuine. It really feels like these characters are alive on the screen. Despite the fact that these two characters are basically the opposites of each other, they also have something in common, and that is that they are both men of very few words. So much so that it could even be in a silent movie, actually. There's a lot more acting going on with the body language rather than there is with words. Simone Chino is basically this very big, very strong, and very menacing dude, while Marcello is this very fragile, very weak, and very small guy. One of them represents strength, terror, and depression, while the other represents shyness, subjugation, and decency. From a certain point, you would expect this film to turn into this very typical revenge tale about violence creating more violence. And let's say it's a little bit that as well, but not quite, because Marcello is a much more complex and much more contradictory character, and not only is he complex, but he is also quite compromised. By the end of the film, you truly get the sense that there's really no alternative for this guy. There's really no other choice for him but to act and react in a more violent manner. But it's very interesting how this is a character who doesn't really know how to be violent. He is a lot more of a survivor rather than he is a fighter. He actually does really want to regain his dignity. He doesn't exactly want to exact revenge. He is very lucid and very humane, basically the complete opposite of Simone Chino, who is very unreasonable and very machine-like, who is basically driven by his instincts and his muscles, who uses violence to basically gain whatever he wants. It's very interesting to see how both characters evolve throughout the film, because while Marcello becomes more confident and more self-assertive and pushy, Simone Chino basically becomes this sort of deity. He basically terrorizes this neighborhood to the point where he is basically feared by everyone and he can do whatever he wants. and both traits of the characters basically work against them as well. Even in Marcello's case, whose empathy and whose childish behavior puts him in greater danger eventually than it probably should. He doesn't really seem to fully comprehend the consequences of what he is doing. So you see, it's a story much less about revenge and much more about personal growth, much more about trying to find that right path between becoming a monster and being consumed and destroyed by another monster, all the while trying to be accepted and appreciated by everyone, even the people who just simply use and abuse you and who don't really care about your well-being. There's something so very genuine about this film, something so very, very humane and so very lean about it. This film is an excellent mixture of humor, of violence, and of drama, and I myself personally would highly recommend it. I absolutely love this film. My question to you guys would be, what are some of your films about revenge or about exacting justice? Really curious to know your answers. Don't forget to leave them down below in the comment section. Thanks for watching my review, guys. As always, I love you for it. Keep watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe so I can see you guys later with other reviews. And until then, what can I say? Keep loving movies, guys. Keep watching them. Keep watching me. Have a good evening or morning or whatever it is, wherever you are. Goodbye.